What really changes once you get married? There's a lot of myths out there. People will tell me, oh my gosh, once we got married, they completely morphed into another person. I don't even know who they were. Well, people do change. However, in a healthy relationship, there are expected changes. Most of those changes come from the idea of commitment. Now, most of the therapists, my colleagues as well as myself, would tell you one of the biggest problems in marriage happiness and keeping it going for a long term is the idea of commitment. I don't think our culture really stresses the importance of commitment. And let's face it, 50% of all people roughly grow up in a divorced family. That means that they weren't privy to a commitment, usually a long-term commitment. People break up, they divorce. And whenever you do this, you kind of take away some of the trust that those children growing up in your relationship are watching. And for many adults now, they watch their parents go through that. And then it becomes especially difficult when these children are now grown-ups and they have their own relationship. And because they know a marriage can end, it kind of puts that in the back of their mind as an option. Divorce cannot be an option in a healthy long-term marriage. It can be a something you have to do if you're in an abusive situation, but it should never be listed as an option if things go badly. Because once you do that, you keep the hatch open. Like in a submarine, when you go into the submarine, you're supposed to close the hatch. Well, if you always have divorce as a possible option, you're not really closing the hatch. It's much harder to feel secure and safe and like there's a sacred space in that kind of a relationship. I'm going to go through what I believe really does change in a relationship, a healthy marriage. And I'm saying not only with my clinical practice and those couples I've helped, but in my own marriage too. These are things I noticed that were significant and they were real. The first one, other people see you differently. When you get married, you're showing the world that you're committed. You're usually sharing the last name of each other, and you're no longer looking for somebody else to fulfill you. You are willing to work out and share a life with this person. Secondly, you're a husband and wife, and that symbolizes a deeper commitment. That's a connection. You don't get that with a boyfriend, girlfriend, or somebody you're living with. It's just, I can't explain it if you don't understand it. It's just not the same. Finances change. Most of the time, couples, therapists such as myself and lawyers will recommend a joint account for keeping couples feeling secure and like they're both participating in co-creating this relationship. I personally believe in a joint account. I think it's a really wise idea. Once you have a joint account and you're being accountable to each other for what you spend money on, it takes the relationship to a deeper level. Don't forget, money symbolizes power. And when the power is evenly shared as far as finances, it works a lot better for basically commitment and telling your partner we are equals in this. You don't split when you have a fight. You have to work it out. How many couples do you know if they had a fight and one partner left? You don't do that when you're married. When you're married, you have to learn to converse. You have to learn how to fight fair. This is part of love. It's an essential part of love. And if you don't know how to fight fair, I recommend now that you go to my video on that and that you also have some counseling. There's a homework assignment on that as well. There's a deeper sense of security. When people are married, yes, it's a legal document. They feel like their children, potential children, are going to be kept alive and well. And not only that, but there's a security that comes with that because now you're sharing a name, you're sharing a family, you're sharing a life, you have a vision, you have a goal. You talk about where you're going to see, what you're going to see in the next 5 years. What are the two of you co-creating? Your families change, and your family becomes more concerned about your spouse, especially after you have kids. They want to help your spouse more. They learn to love you're introducing someone that you love, and eventually your family is going to love this person too. And I think that's a beautiful thing. And I think that's part of the whole benefit of being married and creating family and creating that sense of connection and strength with unity. Sex changes and it becomes more lovemaking. You know, basically, when we talk about making love, it's because we know each other. We know what each other likes. When you're married, there's more of a sense of wanting to please your partner in a way that makes love, demonstrates your love, more than what recreational sex or dating sex or sex with someone you're not committed to would be like or look like. You get more comfortable with each other 24/7. You no longer have to look great. You can be yourself and your partner still adores you. They still think you're hot. And if you put on weight, your partner kind of joins you with that and they want to help you. Everything that you feel is a vulnerability with you, they try to help you see the beauty in it, or they try to be supportive. And once again, I think that's what makes marriages so helpful. If you're a critic or you're very critical of your body image, which I am, and I think many of you out there are, having a husband has really helped me because he helps me see the bigger picture and he helps me see that what I see sometimes is not his reality. And I need that sometimes. And I think you all need that. I think we all need that sometimes. And I think that's a benefit of having, I'm sure it's the same for a wife, but I think that's one of the reasons that having a loving husband is so important. You get more comfortable with creating family and you share that intense responsibility. And not only that, but you go through the misery, the long nights, the sleeplessness, the grouchiness, but you also share the joy. And when you see your child laughing for the first time, or the first time your baby eats solid food, those things are forever remembered. And it brings an intensity to the relationship, to the commitment, to the history of the relationship. And that's so important in continuing the relationship. And lastly, you're a team. You play on the same team. Many researchers have done work on what's the fundamental underneath a healthy marriage as it changes. It's friendship. It basically comes down to friendship. Love is important, but you have to work at liking each other. And sometimes you don't like each other. Sometimes you don't like yourself. But being able to work through that, talk about that, be real with that, there's a benefit in that. It's the truth. It creates the sacredness. Your partner sees all of that, and you see all of that in your partner, and it makes it more and more that you're unified. A healthy marriage, and I'm talking about where both partners are committed and willing to be a team and co-create together, those marriages add so much value, not only to our emotional health, but to our physical health. And not only that, they're building a legacy for years to come with their children and their children's children. So if you're happily married at 5 years, keep it going. Keep nurturing it, because the real benefits of marriage come after 20 years. That's when it really gets unbelievable. And I'm saying that from experience. Still hard, but it's just unbelievable. The longer you're together, if you keep nurturing it, you're in for a real treat of what will come back to you.